Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and I like to read books. Today we're going to be talking about the top 24 books that I would like to get to in 2024. And when I was making this list, I really wanted to prioritize books that I own versus books that I don't have yet. And I think I've achieved a pretty good balance. I'm just really excited / slightly intimidated by some of the books on this list. But without further ado, let's talk books. So the first book on my list is A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross, and while I don't technically own this, it is on Kindle Unlimited, and so I will be reading it this way. And if it turns out to be a book that I truly love, which I definitely think it will be, I'll be purchasing the physical copy, but if I can read it on KU first, why not? Secondly, another book that I can read on KU is the first book in the Chestnut Spring series. Not to give too much away of my plans for 2024, but I have a whole vlog planned that's going to revolve around cowboy romances. That's right, me reading cowboy romances. And so I think an iconic one that I kind of have to include in that vlog is going to be the first book in the Chestnut Spring series, which I believe is Flawless. Again, I can read it on KU. I'm really on a mission to utilize my Kindle for all of its worth this year. I don't know, this might be the year that Heather discovers her love for cowboy romances, and y'all get to come along on that journey with me. Third is a classic. That's right, a classic. I haven't read one of those in a long time, and that is going to be Persuasion by Jane Austen. So technically, I own this book. It's in this giant collection of Jane Austen stories, and I could read it in here. I absolutely could. I will probably end up either checking it out from the library or, if it's pretty affordable, getting it on KU. I've read all of Jane Austen's other works, and I remember starting Persuasion in high school because it was like the underrated Jane Austen work. Little hipster me was like, I want to read the one that nobody else is reading. And so I started it, and I don't remember why I didn't finish it. So this is going to be the year that I read Persuasion. Number 4 on the list is a book that I have owned since last January when my Books A Million was going out of business, and so I kind of went on a little splurge, and I picked up Sea of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty because I have heard nothing but good things about this series, and I just never started it this year, and I don't really know why. First of all, I think the covers are beautiful. I hear that the story is even better than the covers, and I mean, let's give it up for a floppy paperback. I feel like the time has kind of come and gone for this series to be in the spotlight, but I did enjoy the other book that I read by this author, which was The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi, and I hear that this is even better than that, so that makes me excited. Number 5 is a book I meant to get to this October, and then life got in the way. And this does not have to be an October book. I just have not gotten the chance to read it, and it's another one that I've heard nothing but amazing things about, and that is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. And I just hear that it's cozy, it's found family, it's going to warm my heart, it's magical, and those are all the things that I feel like I need in times of high stress. And so I'm going to save this book when I feel like my heart needs a little bit of a hug. Mm, Again, I feel like in videos like this, I always am like, I'm so excited to read this one. Duh, right? Like, we know that. That's why I'm making this video, because I'm excited about these books, but sometimes I just need to share a little bit of extra enthusiasm. This next one is very intimidating to me, and that is not because it is a scary length or I'm worried about understanding it. It is intimidating because I fear for my emotions. That is The Last Devil to Die by Richard Osman, the fourth and most recent book in the Thursday Murder Club series. Everybody I have talked to that has read this book tells me to have a tissue box nearby, and I'm just worried that my heart is going to break into 50 million bajillion thousand gazillion pieces. When I bought this book in New Orleans, this was my little treat to myself on my New Orleans trip. I was talking to the owner of the bookshop, and she said that this was by far her favorite of the series, but that it was also the most heart-wrenching of the series. I have loved every installment of the Thursday Murder Club, and so this one is a must-read this year. All right, I'm very excited about this next book, and that is A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. I feel like everybody that I talked to that read this book this year had just amazing praise for what this book did. I feel like it's kind of leaning into cozy slash dark academia, but I feel like it covers some pretty heavy topics, especially for a YA novel. It's not very long. I'm just excited to see what the hype is about. And also, I hope that I can find a character that I relate to. Number 8 on the list is going to be Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This is another book that kind of just popped up recently, but then I've seen it all over the place and people seem to love it. It's another YA novel, and the synopsis does not really tell you much about the book. So all I know is that it kind of has some Hunger Game vibes. I think there's a competition between like ordinary people and magical people, but it's also a romantasy. Say no more. I think I'm going to like it. Okay, friends. 2 years ago, that's right, 2 years ago, me and my best friend started reading the Wheel of Time series in anticipation for the TV show. Now, while I have very mixed thoughts on the TV show, mostly not kind things to say, I am very behind on our buddy Reed. I was ahead of him for quite some time, and then he had a lot of time to he had a lot of time to listen to the audiobooks and get ahead of me, and so I have only read up to book 3. And yeah, like if you're confused, I did say that we started this 2 years ago and I am only up to book 3. I did start book 4, but please look at how long book 4 is. I own this book in physical form. I own this book on Kindle and I own this audiobook because I was trying to get through it and my brain just needed a break. While I have really enjoyed this series, I feel like sometimes I get a little bit frustrated with it. Sometimes I feel like I get a little bit bored with it, but then when it is good, it's amazing. So I own books 4 and 5. So I'm going to hold those up right now. That's a lot of pages. That is a lot of pages. But my goal this year is to read 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then finish the series in 2025. So I have my work cut out for me, and I will need to either purchase. I really would like to purchase because I own every book up to number 5, and I just think it would look really cool to have my Robert Jordan / Brandon Sanderson shelf full with all these covers. But it is an undertaking. If you are ever thinking of reading The Wheel of Time, just know it is a commitment. A commitment. But like I said, when it is good, it is delicious. Number 14 is a Frederick Bachmann book. Frederick Bachmann, if you don't know, is probably my favorite author of all time. And so we've got the next book in the Beartown trilogy. I read Beartown a couple of years ago when Mississippi had an ice storm that kept us all inside. It was freezing. The ground was covered in ice. I could barely walk to the gas station down the street to get things like cat food. And it was just the perfect environment to read that really cold book in. And I don't know, I just haven't picked up the next one in the series yet, but I absolutely loved the writing. It definitely dealt with some dark topics. And I'm ready, I think. I'm ready to get into the second book. Us Against You. My best friend gifted this one to me for my birthday this last year. So it's even more special to me because of that. Brief interlude for Zelda Cat. I have got one more book on Kindle Unlimited, and that is What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. I haven't read anything by T. Kingfisher yet, but every time somebody talks about T. Kingfisher, they're like, she writes in so many different genres, and I like everything that she writes, and I'm down for a little bit of a spooky time. I know it is an Edgar Allan Poe retelling, and that makes me even more excited. I definitely went through a Poe stage in high school, and also in college when we were studying his works. And so I'm excited to go on a little retelling of the Fall of the House of Usher adventure with Miss T. Kingfisher. Now let's move on to the shorter list of books that I do not own and will either need to find at the library, purchase. Some of these I've already put on pre-order. So let's dive into that section. Coming in at number 16, I don't know how y'all are going to feel that this is on my list, but I am putting Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings on this list. I have heard that it is Toxic Relationship 101 meets Gossip Girl, but make it British. And I have to experience it. Booktubers and friends of mine that I trust that I would not peg for falling for that kind of a trope have loved this series. And I am one that finds catharsis and therapy through books that make me sad. And so maybe this one will be one that is up my alley in that regard. Number 17 is a book that I have wanted to read for quite some time, and that is Malice by John Gwynne. This book keeps coming back into my radar. I feel like every time I kind of forget about it, somebody else talks about it again, and I really want to read the whole quartet. All I really know is that it is epic fantasy following multiple points of view, and it kind of plays with the chosen one trope and some other really big fantasy tropes that we see used over and over again. But I'm here for a classic, fantastic saga focusing on the lives of many different people and seeing them all come together. I'm here for magic and sword fighting, and it just sounds like a really good slash emotional slash big investment of my time series that I cannot wait to dive into. Number 18 is going to come as no surprise, and it comes out very, very soon, and that is House of Flame and Shadow, Crescent City 3 by Sarah J. Maas. This is one that I've already put on pre-order with my local indie bookstore. Little secret, I have not read the second one yet, but I do have it on audio, and so I will be listening to it in January. Number 19 is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I admittedly never got into the Shadowhunters universe. I know some of y'all are probably like, are you kidding? It is so good, but I didn't. But I've heard really, really good things about her adult debut, and I'm here for it. I am here for it. I did put it on a couple Christmas lists, so I still haven't done Christmas with any of my people yet. So it might be one that I receive, but if not, that's one that I definitely plan to get because I just think the cover is beautiful and I'm excited about the story. Ooh, number 20. If you've been following me for a little while, you know that I have just recently become a Stephen King fan. And I hear that one of his books that you cannot miss is 11/22/63, which is kind of a time travel, seeing if we can stop the Kennedy assassination. And I'm here for all that. And if you've never seen that book, it is a brick. And so I plan to read it on my Kindle so that it doesn't feel like I'm reading a brick. Number 21, we have Funny Story by Emily Henry. I did a whole recap of this very confusing plot in my most anticipated books of 2024. So I'm not going to go into that in this video, but all you need to know is I love Emily Henry's writing. I love the way that she talks about love and the hard facets of love and the sweet moments and the way that she weaves so much real life into her books, and it's not just about the romance. I can't wait. I can't wait. In the same vein, number 22, we have Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. And Abby Jimenez actually had my favorite romance book of 2023. So she could write me a story about dust on a bookshelf and I'd read it. So I'll read this one for sure. Number 23, and guys, I cannot believe that I left this off my most anticipated list because this author is an author that I just jump for joy every time he releases another book, every time he teases another book, every time we see his new covers, and he just makes me happy. I don't think his books are the best written books in the world, but I think that they are some of the most fun I have reading every single year, and that is Riley Sager with his Middle of the Night that comes out this summer. I love Riley Sager. I think that he takes a popcorn thriller to the next level. He throws the twists at us, and he is just a jolly good time, y'all. And I'm really excited, curious, tentative about this book because he's written, 6 or 7 at this point, and this is his first book with a male protagonist. Something a little different for him, and I can't wait to see what we all think about it. And last, at number 24, another book I mentioned in my anticipated releases of 2024, and this one comes out in February, so I don't have to wait too long for it, but that is The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. I was just talking to a friend yesterday in one of my Discord groups. She got to read this book early and said that it was just everything she wanted. Not to go into the whole synopsis again or anything, but this book combines so many of my loves, so high fantasy, Sherlock Watson style mystery to solve. quirky main character, sidekick, beautiful cover. That's all. That's everything I need. If you watched all the way to the end of this video, why don't you leave me a firework or a sparkle? They kind of look the same emoji just to celebrate that we are, in fact, about to embark on a new year. Thank you so much for watching. I've gotten a lot of new subscribers lately, so if you're new, welcome. I'm so glad that you're choosing to hang out with me in your free time. As always, my social media is linked down below. I cannot wait to see you guys in the next one. Make sure that you like this video, subscribe if you haven't so that you don't miss any more bookish content from me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.